Hi, my name is Jamira Burley. I am a social justice activist and a social impact consultant, and I'm super honored to be here with three of my really great friends.
My name is Nina Karufa. I am a stand-up comedian. I also work at SiriusXM, which is where I met Jamira.
Hi, I'm Lauren Billy. I know Jamira through some social justice communities. I'm an entrepreneur.
Hi, my name is Ariela. I'm from El Salvador. I'm a social entrepreneur.
So I want to start off the conversation with this question because I think it's something that a lot of people have been thinking about over the last year, which is, after last summer, how did you define allyship and how has that definition for you changed in the last year?
As someone who has been in the social justice space for the last 15 years, I've come across folks of all walks of life who do this work. And I think what I've learned over the last year, particularly, is that allyship for me is something that can't just be defined in one moment. It is a lifelong journey, and it is a requirement to continue to learn and engage. And you can't self-identify as an ally, right? The community has to welcome you into that space based on actions that you take, your ideology. And so I try to surround myself with people who care about the things that I care about, who are going to stand up when I'm physically and mentally and ideology at risk of institutions that are trying to harm me. But for me, it's about a community of folks who are willing to stand up and speak out when communities are being harmed by institutions and by individuals.
So I guess for me, before last summer, allyship was kind of just like a loose word. I always knew I was down for the people, but I never really did anything about it. I thought that being an ally just meant that you supported fighting against injustice. But now I realize that being a true ally requires you to make action, and just it's not enough to just go to rallies and do things. You have to focus on yourself and your group of friends and the people surrounding you, and really notice what people are doing and speak up on little microaggressions that happen just every day around you.
I noticed this year, after the George Floyd murder, that I preferred to be with my woke friends or my Black and brown friends, and had noticed that now that I feel comfortable and welcome, that I actually avoid and have disdain for my people. And that I think I woke up to seeing how harmful that is, and that me avoiding having those hard conversations because I don't like them is actually exactly where the work starts.
And I'm sure all of us have maybe experienced this, where there's this idea of what trust looks like even. I know for me, particularly in the last year, different friends of mine, or even my white friends, I've kind of had to separate myself and be do I fully trust this person to speak up about things? And I don't want to live with that type of anger, right? But I think part of it is fueled from social media and the idea of performative allyship and virtue signaling, which became a huge conversation over the last year. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. What role does social media play when it comes to conversations about allyship?
We've seen so many people get so much attention and traction that don't have something that's authentic and genuine. And so you start to see this sort of distrust, and then you start to question also, why am I even on social media trying to figure out a place of support?
I think social media has revealed who are our allies and people who are performing, right? Performing because oftentimes talking about Black trauma is sexy, it is profitable, it is in the moment. But I think for me, it's always about reviewing how people are talking about it in an authentic way.
I live with a Black woman, and so I'm grateful for that, because in this experience, we were quarantined together during the George Floyd protests in New York, and though I don't know if it might not have even been the safest place for her, having me be the person that was with her every day. But I was so grateful for the opportunity to have the kinds of conversations that we had. It really allowed me to just lean in, yet, like I said, again, go deep into the actual weeds of my life and my work. And am I, when I'm out with my roommate, paying close attention to like her surroundings? Am I paying close attention to like if she feels safe? Am I thinking ahead in that way? Like I would want someone to for me if I didn't feel safe. And same with my organization. Like, yeah, it's so easy to not see this systematic oppression that we've all been taught and raised within.
I think there was a lot of, going off of that, those conversations that you said you had with your friends, I think there was a lot of like, obviously like everyone bought White Fragility, which at a point I was just like, okay, but it's like, does the book have dust on it now, months later? I think there was a lot of just this finger pointing her in a way, but also in an exhausting way as a Black woman, where it was people saying, okay, like, what can I do? Like, what should I do? And I would be like, Google is free, Google is free. So I'm curious from you all's perspective, what are the questions that you wish people asked? And what are the questions that you're kind of tired of people asking when it comes to allyship in this conversation?
I wish more people asked, how have I harmed you, right? Because even as a Black woman, particularly as a Black woman who over the last 2 decades of my life, I've grown to have a level of privilege that people from my community don't have. I constantly, even with my own access, have to remind myself, am I getting access or taking advantage of something that may be harmful to other people? And so I would appreciate for people who want to be better allies is to first inquire, especially to the people that they know and love, have I ever done something that have harmed you either mentally or physically, or am I in a position where I can assist you either mentally or physically to become a better ally?
I wish that a lot of people just kind of thought objectively for a second and removed themselves from their own shoes and thought like, am I a part of the problem? Because there's so many people who are part of the problem who don't think that they're part of the problem. And they might not be quote unquote racist, but a lot of people think that the term being racist means that you're a member of the KKK. Like, they don't understand that there's so many things that people do and think and say on a daily basis that contributes so much to the problem.
We live violence day by day, and it's almost like, there's like that inner trauma of somebody waking up to that. And I couldn't possibly imagine at that point seeing Jamira, sometimes people calling her and be like, oh, now can you do a training on this? Oh, now can you recommend books? Oh, now can you? And I was almost like, oh my God, like, have you asked her, is she okay?
Have there been instances of things or even small moments in your life over these last few months that have given you hope that we are going in the right direction? And I know it's always going to be a work in progress when it comes to race in this country, but any moments of like hope that you've seen that have made you think, wow, things maybe are actually changing this time around?
When I came to this country, I went to college, and I remember all my white friends, they'd never had conversations like this. And I almost was wondering, even when I came here, how do they not notice that this difference, like this divide, and why is nobody talking about it? And then cut to this year, we're now having Zoom calls with my friends, and now they're talking about it when this, like, okay, this is a huge change.
Last summer, I attended a lot of protests after the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And one thing I noticed that was very different from 6 or 7 years ago after Michael Brown is that there were white allies who physically put their bodies in between the Black protesters and the police, knowing that it was less likely for the police to harm them. And I think seeing that transition of white people physically using their bodies as a form of protest and allyship gives me hope.